single game this year, so I'm actually I kind of still feel fresh. A lot of the guys will go into a little bit of a rest period after this last game of this coming weekend. But but just on my personal capacity, I think I'm all good. I'm ready to go, and I'm looking forward to a really big match this coming weekend.
Andrew?
Dwayne, I was just wondering, obviously there's been a lot of talk about Rugby World Cup Final 2019 in the media, at least. Has that been talked about in the squad at all?
Andrew, I think, probably maybe just a little bit. We've just had a look at how how we played, how England played, and obviously if things had changed during the past couple of years, but obviously there's been the COVID situation, so it's not a lot to look at, but that's I suppose that's the only thing. That's the past, or that's in the past now. So obviously you got to stay in the now and look to the present. So I think we can only work on what we have and what we've seen so far, and then we'll take it from there. But not really a big motivator for us. If you have to look back to the past, so we can only stay in the now.
Okay, if I could just ask a follow-up question, Dwayne. Players and coaches always talk about how important the training week is. Joe Marler for England doesn't get out of COVID quarantine until Friday. England are still saying, though, that he's being considered for the game. How difficult would it be for him to even be a replacement on Saturday with just a captain's run under his belt this week?
I think if I'm not mistaken, I think our South African squad did it against Georgia, didn't it?
Yeah.
So the guys were obviously in lockdown because before they played at the SAA team. So the guys had to stay in the hotel, could only get out, obviously on the Friday to do their captain's run and things like that. So yeah, I think obviously it's got a major effect on you, but as an individual, it's maybe a little bit different than opposed to a bigger group of guys. And that's more or less your core. So if you fit enough, Joe and being Joe Marler, he's a good scrummager and a guy like that, and he loves a bit of banter on the field. So he'll always be in his place and happy where he is, even if he's starting or sitting on the bench.
Ross?
Thanks, Sina. How's it, guys? Dwayne, obviously you've got great memories of playing England, Man of the Match award in that 2019 final. So are you really looking forward to coming up again against them this weekend? And secondly, are you expecting quite a good loose forward battle with them this weekend? Do you think it's going to be quite a physical one?
Yes, obviously. I think if you look at Curry and Underhill, they played in 2019, and Courtney Laws was also the other flanker or loose forward they had. So coming up against those guys, they're really good at the breakdown, and it's going to be a difficult task for us. In the form that they are is great to see, and it'll be a great battle for us. And we for us as a loose forward trio, we trying to keep it simple, try to play as consistent as we can, and keep building on what we did during the week and how we performed the previous week.
Daniel?
How's it, guys? Question for you, Dwayne. In the Chasing the Sun documentary, your relationship with Matt Proudfoot was... oh, sorry, can you hear me? I was having poor signals yesterday. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. In the Chasing the Sun doc, your relationship with Matt, was quite special. I wonder if there's a sense of a bittersweet feeling confronting him, and will his presence maybe force you guys to think of something unique that even he won't see coming?
Yeah, we shared a lot of special things. He knows my whole history from growing up and things like that. We worked, back in Western Province and the Stormers together. So we've known each other for quite some time, and obviously you build good relationships. I think obviously you'll be playing against the players he coached, not coming up against him. So there might be a trick or two in up our sleeves. There might be a trick or two, up England's sleeves. We don't know. We can only see that on the day. But obviously he knows me personally and knows my way of thinking, and obviously what I'm playing for and what I stand for as a person. So you never know what's coming.
Nick?
Thanks, Zina. Dwayne, I'd like to ask you a question in a moment if I could, please, but I'm going to start with Damien. Damien, could you just talk about the relationship that you have with Lucanio and your individual roles and how that combination has developed in your mind over the last few years?
We've got a very strong relationship, and I think I think it helps when we get along so well off the field as well. We know every game is a lot different to other games, and every game has its own challenges. But we're very composed on the field, especially Lucanio, and we chat a lot on the field, and we just try and stay in the moment. And even though sometimes it doesn't feel like we're in the game, we find it hard to get involved, whether that's on attack or defense. We always just talk to each other and say, we must just be ready for the next moment that comes. And once we have that opportunity, we try and grab it with both hands, whether that's making a big tackle or making a still at the breakdown or making a nice play on attack. So for the two of us, we just try and stay in the moment on the field, and we just try and stay as prepared as we can for the next opportunity that comes our way.
And how are you different? What do you bring that maybe he doesn't, and vice versa? What does he bring that maybe you don't? Why do you dovetail so well?
I think we just have a good feeling for each other. I think if he does something on the field, I'm there to back him up. And I think if he does something on the field, if I do something on the field, he's there to back me up. So I know, like I said, not every game of rugby is the same, and sometimes I might make mistakes on the field, and you'll be there to help me out and cover my back. And then sometimes you'll make mistakes on the field, and I'll be there to help him and cover his back. So I think our communication on the field is exceptional, and I think that helps a lot. But I can't really say why we dovetail so well together. But it is awesome to know that we do play rugby like that, and we've got such a good understanding for each other.
Heinz?
Sorry, Zina, could I ask?
Sorry, Nick, you've asked two questions. Can we just ask the other media first, and then we'll come back to you if there's time?
Right.
Heinz, you can ask your question.
Thanks, Zina. Hi, guys. Hope you're well. Dwayne, just actually wanted to ask, during the British Lions tour and the build-up, when you weren't available, a couple of people were very intrigued, when the designated guy to replace you was Kwagga, actually, at number 8. And Jock Nienaber actually made a very valid explanation, that Kwagga basically brings almost the same attributes and style of play, like you do at number 8. But I was just wondering, how have you felt, playing with him? I mean, I know you know Sia pretty well, but now with Kwagga also dovetailing with you guys, just how have you experienced his growth as an international player, because he's really settled in that blindside role?
Losing Peter Steff is a big thing for us, and then obviously there has to be a guy that steps into that spot and that fills that role. So obviously, Jock and them tried Franco Mostert, who's also playing sometimes in the blind side and also double up as lock. And then obviously tried with Kwagga, and he really took his chance. He's a good runner with the ball. He's quick at the breakdowns. That if you don't have Kwagga and you have Peter Steff, you're losing out on a guy that also plays a bit to the breakdown. So it's good to have him on the pitch, and he does a hell of a lot of work rate on and off the ball. So it's really good to be playing, with him. And his combo with Sia is, they really playing well together. And then obviously I'm a little bit more tighter with the tight five where I'm playing, and but it's been great, and obviously the guys who's backing us up, we've got a strong group of loose trios that can also fill those spots if need be, and if we get an injury.
Alex?
Yeah, hi guys. A question for both of you, please. After winning the World Cup, you had 20 months of inactivity. Looked like the Lions series was going to be off. Looked like you'd have no real chance to play as world champions for 2 years. You were kicking your heels. I wonder, looking back at that period now, and to the fact that you've won a Lions tour and you're on the verge of an unbeaten autumn, how much pride, how much satisfaction is there within the group, and how much determination to finish the job this weekend?
Yeah, obviously when we got together that first week before the British Irish Lions, obviously we played Georgia in the one test, and then there was a COVID outbreak. But when we hadn't seen each other for so long after the World Cup, those first few days was flipping incredible. I've never seen the guys that excited, obviously because we had celebrated after winning the World Cup, and that was the last time we were all together. So it was a bit dampening to all of us when the COVID outbreak happened, and we were separated for about 2 weeks basically, and then only again in the British Irish Lions series. Obviously, it wasn't ideal, and we only started training as a full squad, I think, on that Monday before the first test. So yeah, I know it's been a challenging year. Obviously, we've been in a bubble during the British Irish Lions series, and then going to Australia, and that was quite tough on all of us mentally. But I think as a squad we got through that nicely. We had our challenges there, and obviously we won that last game on tour before we headed home again. So it's been incredible to be with the guys again. Obviously we're in a bit of a bubble again, but we know there's one more big push, which is this weekend, and I think after Saturday night's game, obviously we want to end the tour on a high, and because we won't see each other for about 7 months. But I think as a squad we can sit down together on Saturday night and have a nice beer together and look back at this whole year that's passed, and smile about it and cherish those memories that we've made together.
Is that the same that you feel, Dwayne?
Alex, I think that's exactly the same.
Thank you.
All right, Stephen?
Hi guys, thanks for chatting to us. Damien, interesting, after the game against Scotland, we so often talk about your physicality, but your distribution became a talking point as well, and your passing skills. Is that something that you've placed a great emphasis on in terms of developing the last season or so to complement the other strengths of your game?
Definitely, we work quite hard in the week on creating opportunities for each other, and I think just on Saturday I found myself at the right place at the right time, and it was nice to get the ball in that space and create space for other people around me as well. So it has been something that I've worked on personally. It's something that we work on together as a team as well, which helps a lot. And the guys around you, because we're working it together, it almost feels like they're giving me that space and time to make those better decisions on the outside. So I know it looks nice when it comes off, and I might get the praise every now and again, but it's also the guys that are working around me off the ball that make my job a lot easier, my decision making a lot easier. So we'll carry on working hard on that as a group, and I'll carry on working on that for my personal game. But yeah, it was nice to see that it came off this past weekend against Scotland, and hopefully we can create more opportunities for each other like that this coming weekend.
Andrew?
Dwayne, I was just wondering what the squad's reaction was to the news back home today about Yanni du Plessis, and are you planning any kind of tribute at the weekend?
Andrew, I think we didn't really discuss it as a squad. I woke up this morning, receiving a message from my missus saying, "Listen, this is what happened back home." So, obviously, they'll be, as a family, they'll be in the back of our minds, and all our condolences to Yanni and his family back home. I know it's a difficult time for them, and we'll stand behind them and support them from as individuals, and then obviously we'll sit down maybe if needs be and do something for him. But this coming weekend is it's all about the game. We can always do something special for them a little bit later.
Thank you.
Mike?
Hi guys, sorry about that. Good to see. It's a question for Dwayne. Obviously, last time you played England, you're up against Billy Vunipolos, your sort of direct opposite number. That's not going to be the case this weekend. I just wondered what you make of the likes of Tom Curry, Sam Simmons, Alex Dombrandt. They're sort of different sorts of players, lighter sort of players. Is there a different challenge playing them? And has your game had to change at all over the past couple of years with rule changes and things? Have you developed your game in any way?
Yeah, Mike. Obviously, Curry is a massive nuisance at the ruck, and he's really good at his job, and he does really well. I haven't come up against Simmons really and Dombrandt. I've only watched some of their games, and they, when they play for their clubs, and they're really outstanding players for their clubs, and it's good to see the guys who's lifting up their hands, getting an opportunity to play international. So, there's a lot of a good, skillful back rowers that in the England squad, and obviously it's going to be really difficult for us. But yeah, thinking about it, changing your game a little bit, you have to adapt to the new rules here. It kind of feels like every year there's a whole bunch of new rules that comes out. Obviously, you've got to adapt a little bit, but sometimes you say the more it changes, the more it stays the same. So obviously, a breakdown will always be a breakdown, and if you can make a massive nuisance of yourself at the breakdown, it really puts a team a bit on the back foot.
And then we'll take our last English question before we switch over to Afrikaans, and that will be Craig Lewis.
Thanks, Lee. Just a quick one for Dwayne, just elaborating a little bit on what you've already spoken on, but just in terms of looking at England, how much do you think they've evolved over the last couple of years since the World Cup final, and how different will the challenge be to what you faced against Scotland and Wales?
Geez, Craig, it's actually a difficult one. So obviously, we've seen a couple of games, but we've seen some of the games against Tier 1 nations. We've seen a lot of games against Tier 2 nations, and it's a little bit different. They play a little bit different if the game opens up a bit. But obviously, you will always play to your strengths. But I must say they've gotten in a lot of new guys that brings a bit of more excitement to the game. If you talk about in the forwards, back rowers, some of the backline players. So it's nice to see them also using the guys who are on form. But I think Test match rugby is Test match rugby, and a lot of guys, if you knew going into Test match rugby, it might shock you a bit because it's a whole different thing than playing club level. But if you get an opportunity, you got to play, and I think we'll see what we're going to get on Saturday. But obviously, it's a team with a lot of skill, a lot of pace, and that really backs themselves. So have to be wary of who we're facing and as individuals, and then obviously them playing well as a team.
That concludes the English section of our press conference. So our international media, you are more than welcome to remain on the call, but you can also log off if you'd like. And then first question in Afrikaans, we will go to Leighton.
Dankie Zina. Hallo Dwayne, hi Damien. Ek gaan met Dwayne vra. Dwayne, net met betrekking tot verlede Saterdag se wedstryd, daai eerste openingsminute waar hulle absoluut druk op Skotland gesit het, maar nie daai punte kon aanteken nie. Was daar gesprek dat Engeland dalk 'n perd van 'n ander kleur kan wees waar julle moet daai geleenthede gebruik indien julle uiteindelik suksesvol in die wedstryd wil wees?
Ja, kyk, ek moet sê daai eerste tyd wat ons gespeel het, ek dink die eerste sequence in die game teen Skotland was seker 4 minute balance ball in play, balansspel. So dit was, jy weet, dit het eintlik baie goed gepas by Skotland se styl van hoe hulle speel in Swan. En dit het ons manne ook so 'n bietjie half geskok, maar ook na 'n tydjie gesien hoor jy ons kan eintlik hierdie game speel. Maar ja, dit is soos wat jy sê, ek dink as 'n ou geleentheid kry binne 'n span se 22 en dan moet jy raai in punte omdraai. So ek moet sê ons het definitief 'n paar geleenthede, jy weet, verloor en nie gebruik van gemaak nie, maar jy weet ons het daaroor gepraat en ook gesê hoor hierso Engeland gee jou nie geleenthede in hulle 22 nie. So as ons dit kry, gaan ons dit definitief moet gebruik.
Percy?
Baie dankie Zina. Good afternoon. I'm Damien. Good afternoon. I'm Dwayne. Dwayne, ek wil net vanaand vra sê of vir my is hierdie naweek 'n eindstryd vir julle? En die tweede deel van my vraag dan is hoe
Ekskuus, daar's net iemand
Jammer Dwayne, ek vra net wat is julle benadering vir hierdie naweek se wedstryd? Is hierdie naweek 'n eindstryd vir julle? En hoe verskil die benadering van 'n wedstryd teen Engeland byvoorbeeld soos in 'n wedstryd teen die All Blacks? Is daar die intensiteit net so groot nie?
Dus ek dink 'n eindstryd speel mens gewoonlik in kompetisies. So as 'n ou sê nou maar soos 'n World Cup of so iets kan speel, dan speel mense 'n eindstryd of jy speel vir 'n beker. Ek dink vir hierdie ding gaan dit eintlik maar net oor 'n ou se, jy weet, 'n ou se pride. So jy weet, ons wil die jaar goed afeindig. Engeland wil die jaar vir hulle goed afeindig. So dit is ouens met twee spanne met 'n groot doel en jy weet wil 'n ding op 'n goeie noot afeindig en dan en dis hoe ek oor voel. Dis net my persoonlike opinie. En dan ja, jou tweede gedeelte van die vraag is?
Ek probeer net verstaan, as gewoonlik in my klein bietjie ervaring, as daar voorbereiding gemaak word vir 'n wedstryd in die All Blacks, dan is die benadering heeltemal anders in julle kamp. Is daai selfde intensiteit nou vir hierdie naweek se wedstryd in Engeland?
Ja, ek moet sê ek dink soos die week begin het, dink ek het dit nogal so begin. Ek dink almal is aangeswitch, ek dink ons het die coaches het 'n goeie plan aan ons verkoop en gesê hoor hierso dit is wat ons graag wil doen en ons het doelwitte gestel. So ek dink hierdie is definitief vir ons ook baie belangrik en soos wat ek vroeër gesê het, ons wil die jaar op 'n goeie noot afsluit. So ek dink die intensiteit is daar. Ek dink die fokus is daar en almal is, jy weet, half mentally ingestel op wat lê voor en jy weet en wat ons moet doen om hopelik suksesvol daar uit te loop.
Kan ons dit van Steven toe gaan, Percy?
As reg Zina, baie
dankie Zina. Dwayne, ek sal waardeer asseblief indien jy net jou medelee vir die Du Plessis gesin in Afrikaans kan verwoord. En dan tweedens net die man aan jou regterkant, jy weet, mense het dis seker nou dit raak in julle DNS as 'n span, maar jy weet groot spelers vir groot oomblikke en so aan. Kan jy net verwoord wat jy dink Damien vir die span doen en sy ontwikkeling as 'n speler?
Ja, Steven, ek dink nee. ja, Steven, ek dink ja, ek dink meeste van die ouens weet nou wat jy weet hierso in die kamp wat gebeur het met die Du Plessis gesin en jy weet dit is sleg om in die oggend wakker te word en jy kry 'n boodskap van jou vrou of familielid wat sê hoor hierso dis die slegte nuus wat daar rondloop. So jy weet ons is jy weet ons staan saam met hulle as individue. Ons is hier saam met hulle as 'n span en ons ondersteun hulle en waar deur hulle gaan as die hele Du Plessis gesin en familie en jy weet en ons het alle respek vir hulle en ons hoop regtig jy weet dat hulle deur hierdie ding sal kom. Ek weet dit is tragies en ek dink ek weet nie hoe 'n ou voel na so verlies nie, maar ek glo dat jy weet deur die Here se genade sal hulle as 'n gesin bymekaar trek en deur hierdie hele proses werk. So jy weet ons is almal daar vir hulle en ons almal ondersteun hulle van hierdie kant af as 'n Springbok groep en jy weet as 'n Springbokke. En dan ja, ek dink as jy praat van Damien, ons kan nou eintlik regtig dink baie jare terug was hy 'n UCT mannetjie wat hy jy weet daarso by die Stormers kom oefen het en ons moes sulke sakke vashou en hy moes die sakke duik en ek was nou die ongelukkige ou wat die sak vasgehou het en toe hy die tackle maak, toe sê gaan ek na Jacques Nienaber toe sê ek vir hom hoor hierso hierdie ouetjie moet ons teken. Want hy kan nogals tackle want ons hele stelsel by die Stormers daai tyd was gebaseer jy weet oor defense. En ek dink hulle het eers 2 keer daaroor gedink en toe het hy in die Stormersgroep ingekom en dit was 'n paar jaar later toe hy in die Bokgroep en van daai ouetjie af wat ek gesien het van UCT af tot waar hy nou is, het hy regtig ongelooflik baie gegroei. Nie net as 'n speler nie, maar as 'n goeie leier in die groep. Ek dink hy het baie ervaring en ek dink hy en Lucanio en Andre hulle en Elton hulle almal saam. Daar's 'n goeie kombinasie met almal en die kommunikasie is fantasties wat jy daar sien. Jy weet die ouens is glad nie gerattel nie. Hulle is baie composed in hulle approach tot die game en jy weet dit is lekker om te sien as die manne na jou toe kom en hulle kom op met idees en sien wat hulle na die tafel toe bring. Ek bedoel sy spel praat van self. Ek dink hy is 'n ou wat regtig baie hoef te praat nie, maar binne die groep doen hy wel en ja, dit is fantasties om te sien hoe hy gegroei het as 'n speler en ek glo daar's nog baie dinge wat vir hom vorentoe in die toekoms lê.
And then we'll wrap up our press conference with Ashwa.
Dankie Zine. Ek weet nie hoe goed Damien se Afrikaans is nie, maar hy mag maar in Engels antwoord.
Dankie.
Damien Allende, Milnerton's finest. Damien, roep die ouens al vir jou Sunny Bill na 'n offload vir Mapims vir die 3 en ook het julle enige spesiale planne om Manu toe langie te duik?
No, not actually. No one calls anyone Sunny Bill here, but we obviously do work on our individual skills and we try and do this past in training. Obviously, Lucanio's one came off against New Zealand as well, which was very special. I still think mine was a little bit better. But yeah, other than that, I'm looking forward to the challenge. Obviously, we don't know what the England team is yet. But playing against Manu in the World Cup final, it was a great honor and a privilege for me. Obviously, as players, no matter what position you play, you always want to put yourself and test yourself against the best in the world. And I think he's right up there with the best centers in the world. So I think he will play 12. Obviously, it's unfortunate that Owen Farrell got injured last week. So no matter where he plays, I think I'll just enjoy that battle on the field to play up against him, across him on the field again. And I've got a lot of respect for him and the way he plays and the way he plays rugby. So it's another challenge for me to get better, and I'm looking forward to playing against him again.
One word in Afrikaans. Come on.
No, you put on the spot now.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us for our press conference. We will be sending out the recording shortly, so please keep an eye out for that. And thanks for joining us. Have a lovely day. Thanks, Dwayne and Damien.
Thanks, guys.
Never snel.
Dankie Damien.